did you eventually reach that big decision to actually exit the consumer banking space here?
Well, essentially, it's an overall refocus on strategy, where we can use our capital the best and try to figure out how we fit in the overall ING ecosystem. So the decision was made to essentially focus on wholesale banking activities. That means corporate investment banking type of activities, and basically make our way into determining and providing services in that arena, which we believe we can do quite well.
Okay, given all that, where are you now in that exit process in the retail banking space?
Yeah, so the digital retail app was actually shut down at the end of October. We returned probably about 99.5% of to all clients, rather their money, and effectively the retail bank itself will cease operations at the end of the year, so December 31st of this year.
Okay, so definitely by year end, tapos na talaga, no? But what's your general outlook here for the financial space in the Philippines?
Well, our outlook is very much linked to how the economy is expected to grow. And we do think, by the way, that in the short, especially in the medium to long term, the prospects for the Philippines are very bright. And that's why we've decided that we'll focus on the wholesale banking space, where we have essentially a very big platform, and we've done extremely well over the years in terms of trying to ensure that we can service our clients. We have very good relationships, primarily with the largest conglomerates, although we do deal with other corporates, and let's call it the activity levels focus on various things from our financial markets, which means our trading activity, interest rates, currency exchange. We've also done very well in our merger and acquisition, advisory, and overall advisory business. And of course, our capital markets business, primarily in the debt capital market side, along the loan capital market side, have done well. So we think that these activities, obviously with the background of a sustainable and green kind of future, is where we're going to play.
Okay, but even as you say that, like what you mentioned earlier, that there are of course bright prospects, at least for the Philippines, proves to be bright at least. There are still some challenges up ahead here. For you, exactly what near-term challenges are you seeing here for the banking space, including the prospects of a global recession, and how do you think, how well positioned is the local banking industry?
Well, first I'll say the following. That yes, there are global headwinds. Perhaps the Philippines is less affected by a number of these challenges. But as interest rates have risen, one of the effects, actually, interestingly enough, is that financial institutions and non-bank financial institutions tend to benefit from a relatively higher interest rate. So that probably improves, let's call it the net interest margin for many players when you're perhaps having a very close to zero type of interest rate environment. So that's perhaps number one. I think secondly, with all of the infrastructure requirements that this country has, a lot of the sectors that we deal in are certainly going to benefit from all the activity that is actually not just projected, but actually ongoing right now. So for example, you talk about the telecom, media, and technology space, right? There's a lot of investment going on in that sector. The infrastructure space, which really includes all types of buildings, roads, tollways, airports, ports. This is not just a focus of the administration, but also has been an activity level for many of the large conglomerates. And I guess finally, when we talk about healthcare and related items, these are going to give us and other financial institutions an ability to actually help participate, finance, and advise on, so that there should be more than enough activity in these sectors.
Given all that, I mean, like what you mentioned, the probability of you entering at least in infrastructure projects, does this mean as well involvement as well, or entering public-private partnerships here with the government?
Yes, and I think we're quite keen to increase our activity level in the PPP space. Obviously, there are maybe some edits to the implementing rules, which I think should benefit everyone, all the stakeholders. I think that's really one of the things we're looking at in terms of how the PPP Center is reviewing things. And when it talks about trying to be part of many of these projects, we are, by the way, incidentally separate from PPPs, already involved, very involved in a number of infrastructure projects that a number of the large conglomerates are working on today. So this will just be maybe an add-on, if I can put it that way.
To be exact, what edits exactly are you looking at when it comes to implementations here of PPPs?
Well, I think the question of how the IRRs are looked at when you take a look at also what the liabilities, responsibilities, and accountabilities are, so that it's probably better distributed amongst all stakeholders, whether it's government or the private sector or the financiers that you're talking about.
And then you mentioned also, as it is, you're already involved in some PPP projects or infrastructure projects, if I'm not mistaken. Can you give us more details on that? What are those exactly, and are you limited to financing?
Well, we're, when I say involved, part of it is the advisory function in terms of structuring some of these. We are involved in the financing. And when I talk about financing, that it's not just limited to providing lending. It also has to do with providing perhaps hedges and forward contracts for certain things that are going to happen. And maybe related to that, some of the activity that we're seeing actually includes some change of control in terms of firms, as well as maybe some acquisition deals that are related to infrastructure kind of build-up.
All right. Now, of course, what other industries or projects are proving to be attractive here for ING? Where do you see at least the biggest opportunities?
So I was mentioning that kind of like the ESG and sustainability space is something that underpins everything that I mentioned earlier. And we do believe we're not just a thought leader, but actually someone who practices what they preach. So for example, just to give you a little bit of a sense, we actually moved in 2020 to our new wholesale bank headquarters, which is the Arthurland Century Pacific Tower. And that was the first triple, let's call it green building at that time. And if only to say that we're obviously focused on that type of action. So when we talk about sustainability and trying to help companies, it includes trying to help companies create their own ESG framework. So that's an advisory function. It also includes raising financing that you can probably link directly to what's called either as a green or sustainable type of benchmark. So we've done a few direct loans as well as a few bond deals that actually qualify under these global requirements.
But do you already have your targets, at least when it comes to sustainability, particularly in your portfolio?
Well, and we've said this on a global basis, that we'd like to increase the percentage of sustainable projects to about half of our total portfolio in the next few years. So clearly that will mean a lot of refocus and a lot more, how do I call it, direct pitching on the ESG, especially the overall sustainability front.
And where, at least is the Philippines now, ING Philippines, when it comes to that?
And yeah, we're very active in this space and very eager to help our clients as well.
Well on your way to 50%, do you think?
Well, it'll take a few years. So as we build up more projects and hopefully our clients actually do see the benefit of moving to more sustainable type financing as well as projects of their own.